No, no, you got to go back now and say, why was the NFL continuing to support with all the confusion going on in the media? And maybe it's all of that found money right there.
And then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about...
I'm not gonna lie, after we found out why Beyonce made a lot of the songs that she did and for what reasons, I'm not shocked one bit to find out that Jay-Z is allegedly listed in the Epstein file.
50 Cent is still dragging Jay-Z and Beyonce like nobody's business. And now, he's dropping hints that Beyonce might even be caught up in this whole Epstein mess. By now, you've probably heard Jay-Z's name came up in the Epstein files. A woman claims she woke up in Epstein's mansion and says Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein were both in the room. Once that rumor hit the internet, 50 immediately hopped on social media, saying he wants to make a full-on documentary about Jay-Z and Epstein. He straight up said, "Damn, they got your man Jay in the Epstein files. I gotta do a doc on this ish." But here's where Beyonce reportedly messed up, thinking she could control 50. Allegedly, she sent her lawyers to warn him to stop posting about Jay and Epstein. And of course, that only made things worse. After 50 teased a potential documentary, a source close to Beyonce said she was furious because the Carters had already shelled out big money to keep major media outlets quiet. Even the Shade Room quietly deleted their post about Jay's name in the Epstein files. Notice how TMZ, People, US Weekly, Complex, Billboard, none of them touched it. The Carters probably thought it would just fade away, but they clearly forgot about 50 Cent. If there's ever a chance to throw shade at Jay-Z, 50 isn't missing it. That man thrives on threats. Try to scare him, and he only gets hyped. So after word got out that Beyonce allegedly sent her lawyers to warn 50, he jumped right back online with a cryptic post, subtly telling her to back off. He even dropped an AI-generated clip of himself with a caption that left people talking. "I smell beef and popcorn." So now, with 50 Cent back at it and stirring the pot, you honestly never know what might float back to the surface. We already watched him dig up all kinds of wild material on Diddy for that documentary, stuff most people didn't even realize was out there. So if he was able to pull that off, there's no doubt he could do the exact same thing with the Carters. Now the big question is, can Beyonce actually stop 50 from making a documentary about Jay-Z? Well, according to the internet, not a chance. Fans online are saying Beyonce might want to just sit this one out, or maybe even start looking for a divorce lawyer. But here's the twist. A lot of people are starting to think Beyonce might be more involved in whatever Jay-Z was allegedly tied to than anyone realizes. And because of that, a divorce seems pretty unlikely. If we're being real, Jay and Beyonce probably know way too much about each other, and staying married is safer for both of them. And let's not forget, Beyonce has had her own accusations following her around for years. Everything from claims that she blocks and sabotages other female artists to darker rumors about black magic and so-called sacrifices. One of the strangest allegations came from former NFL player Larry Johnson, who said he once went to a bizarre party with Jay-Z and Beyonce that seriously disturbed him. According to Johnson, this happened back in the early 2000s at a late-night rap party the Carters were hosting in Colorado. He claims there were people there who didn't even look like adults, and that Beyonce allegedly made a comment that left him extremely uncomfortable.
Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there, and he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house. And we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there. And I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework. But she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music. We started drinking. And then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking loud music and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like, what did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me.
And then there are all those persistent rumors about Beyonce supposedly being involved in dark practices like witchcraft and rituals. These stories aren't just coming from anonymous accounts on social media either. They're coming from people who actually worked with Beyonce for years. Back in 2018, her former drummer, Kimberly Thompson, stepped forward and accused Beyonce of practicing what she called extreme witchcraft. And it didn't just stay at the level of online gossip or interviews. Kimberly took things even further by filing for a restraining order against Beyonce over the allegations.
This has been going on since 2006, and it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. And for a very long time, I put this person on a pedestal. I loved them. I'd send emails, you know, publicly, happy birthday and all this stuff. And the entire time, this person was casting spells and manipulating me and controlling my job situations, my relationships, just all kinds of.
But Kimberly isn't the only one who made these kinds of insinuations. More recently, Beyonce's former dance captain, Ashley Everett, was caught liking some real shady posts and comments. And one of those posts claimed that when people listen to Beyonce...
But Kimberly wasn't the only person dropping hints like that. More recently, Beyonce's former dance captain, Ashley Everett, got people talking after she was seen liking some seriously shady posts and comments online. One of those posts straight up claimed that when people listen to Beyonce's music, they don't realize they're supposedly entertaining demons. And somehow, the story gets even darker from there. Another former dancer, Katia Sherry, who worked with Beyonce on the Formation video and her 2016 Super Bowl performance, came forward on Instagram with some wild accusations of her own. She openly called Beyonce a witch and even alleged that Beyonce had wished harm on her child. Kata wrote, "Are you effing serious? You called for my child to be our word, you evil witch. Essence, check on my child. I'm about to blow this ish through the effing roof." That post didn't stay up for long on Kata's page. In fact, most people probably wouldn't have even known it existed if it weren't for Tasha K. She came through with all the receipts, sharing screenshots of Kata's post on X, and even breaking the whole story down in detail on her YouTube channel.
Beyonce is being accused again of doing black magic. Now here's what I'm gonna say. Everybody ain't lying. I spent probably a week doing research on all the people that they were connected with, and all of them are connected to some sort of black magic, some sort of witchery. Okay? This is an ex-dancer of hers, and now we remember the ex-drummer that came out, and we call her crazy too. We got the interview of the drummer. Y'all remember her? And she was saying that Beyonce was using witchcraft and all that stuff. And it always comes out around the time when she getting ready to cipher for a new album. I know Beyonce's a witch. I saw the Lemonade visuals. I saw it. I said, this is dark.
Now, let me be clear about something. These are all just allegations. Nobody is saying any of this is proven fact. But when you keep hearing the same kinds of stories about the same person from completely different people, that's when folks start to wonder, at what point does coincidence stop being a coincidence and start looking more like a pattern? Because one rumor you can easily brush off. Two, maybe you still give the benefit of the doubt. But when similar claims keep popping up from people who are actually on the inside, that's when the public begins to pay attention and ask some serious questions. And then there's a whole other angle that a lot of people don't like to talk about. The idea that Jay-Z and Beyonce might not actually be the ones running things behind the scenes. Because let's be honest, no matter how rich or powerful these entertainers seem, there are always people in the background with even more money and even more power pulling the strings. Remember when Kanye came out and claimed that Beyonce and Jay-Z are basically controlled puppets? He even hinted that most of these celebrities are being blackmailed over something they did in their past.
You know what I'm saying? They could control Shaq. They could control Charles Barkley. They could control LeBron James. They could control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Not you, man.
But they can't control me. You're out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize.
So between the Epstein allegations, the sudden media silence, Beyonce's alleged legal threats aimed at 50 Cent, and all these old accusations resurfacing, the Carter empire is starting to look a little shaky. And now the real question is whether they can actually bounce back from all of this, or if the damage is already done. Because once the public starts forming opinions, it's almost impossible to shove that toothpaste back into the tube. But I want to know what you think. Do you believe 50 Cent is just bluffing about making a documentary on Jay-Z and Epstein, or do you think he really has enough material to expose something huge? And what about Beyonce? Do you see her as completely innocent in all of this, someone who might have been manipulated when she was too young to understand what was going on? Or do you think she's a willing participant at this point? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you stay tuned for the next video.